Your works, O
On June 18, 2015, a special Mass was held at the Cathedral of St. Cecilia in Omaha. The celebratory service marked the end of the local investigation into the life and virtue of renowned founder of Boys Town, Monsignor Edward Flanagan. The Omaha Diocese is seeking sainthood for the Catholic priest. Saint-making is a nearly 2,000-year-old ancient rite and a rare part of the Church. It is a complex, mysterious process with rules that must be strictly followed. In the Catholic faith, there are two ways a person may become a saint: through martyrdom or heroic virtue. Heroic virtue is defined as performing extraordinary virtuous actions while upholding the practice of faith, hope, and charity to a high degree.
We want the court to find him guilty of heroic virtue, because that's what makes a saint.
Dr. Andrea Ambrosi is unofficially known as the Saint Maker. An expert in canon law, he traveled from Italy to assist in finalizing the diocese investigation.
Io devo sempre spiegare che
The inquiries are considered trials in a way, like a trial of the person's life to see whether they are deserving of the titles.
The canonization process is fundamentally a legal proceeding of the Church.
Steve Wolf is the president of a grassroots group comprised of ordinary people who are presenting a case before the Vatican to make Father Flanagan a saint.
The Flanagan League is essentially, we are the actors in this cause for canonization. We are the petitioners to the Church, asking the Church to look at this man's life and determine whether he lived a life of heroic virtue.
Born prematurely on July 13, 1886, in County Roscommon, Ireland, Edward Joseph Flanagan was the eighth child of parents Nora and John. He was bright and studious, but suffered from frail health. He emigrated to America in 1904 with hopes of becoming a priest. It took him 8 years due to chronic health issues, but after being ordained in 1912, Father Edward Flanagan moved to Omaha, where his brother Patrick was already serving as a parish priest. It was while helping people displaced from the devastating Easter tornadoes of 1913 that Father Flanagan found purpose in helping the homeless. In 1917, when a boy asked the priest for shelter, it set in motion a chain of events that evolved into what is now known as Boys Town.
This was a place that wasn't there to kick you to the curb for your experience, it was a place to lift you up.
In the late 1970s, Steve Wolf was a Boys Town boy.
I had an immediate sense of relief just not being locked up. You were there to be this kid that had all these opportunities and an education and all these other things to help you be successful.
The very things Steve benefited from in the 1970s, Father Flanagan began instituting 60 years before, when he took in his first 5 boys. In 1917, he borrowed $90 to rent a boarding house he called Father Flanagan's Home for Boys. By 1921, he had 150 boys and wanted to help even more. But his work was drawing criticism from the public because people believed there was no hope for a bad kid. Father Flanagan was not only helping them, he was accepting boys of mixed religions and race, and not segregating them. He began receiving violent death threats. Working together, Father Flanagan and his boys raised enough money to purchase a farm on the outskirts of Omaha. Here there was safety and space to grow. And they changed the name of Overlook Farm to the village of Boys Town. During the next 20 years, Father Flanagan railed against the juvenile justice system and advocated reform. And despite angering powerful authorities, he gained overwhelming public support for his work. And in 1938, Hollywood released the movie Boys Town.
I'm Father Flanagan. I saw your brother Joe just a little while ago. We had a long talk about you, Whitey. Joe wants you to come to Boys Town with me.
If you think you're gonna make a plow jockey out of me, you got another thing coming.
and was a box office success. It gave international attention to Boys Town, and now Monsignor Flanagan was publicly accepted as an expert in youth care.
Is that what this is all about? You're gonna take my life because I owe the state something? Where was the state when a lonely, starving kid cried himself to sleep in a flop house with a bunch of drunks, tramps, and hobos?
The Monsignor's success in Nebraska gave him the courage to address reform in the land of his birth, where atrocities of the juvenile justice system were far greater than in the United States. In 1946, Father Flanagan returned to Ireland and gave public speeches denouncing church and state-run industrial schools, calling them institutions of punishment. While the crowds cheered, the government not only decried Father Flanagan's criticism, it later expunged nearly all record of their native son. After the end of World War II, General Douglas MacArthur asked Father Flanagan to work on child welfare issues in Asia. When the Catholic priest reported his findings to President Truman, the president was so impressed he asked Father Flanagan to help in Europe. Father Flanagan was planning to return to Ireland, but postponed his visit. In February of 1948, he left for Austria and Germany. The tour was exhausting. He confided in friends that his heart was giving him trouble and said, "This has been a very hard trip." Then, shortly after midnight on May 15, 1948, the founder of Boys Town suffered a massive heart attack. He was transferred to a hospital and died soon after. He was brought home to Nebraska, and today he rests in the heart of Boys Town.
A cause is supposed to start in the place where the person died, not where they maybe did their work and not necessarily where they're buried.
In their pursuit for the cause of Father Flanagan's sainthood, the League had an immediate hurdle to jump.
The Cardinal of Berlin had the jurisdiction for this cause to be open, and so we had to communicate with him to ask if he would please transfer the case to the Archdiocese of Omaha, and he agreed.
The negotiation was handled through Dr. Ambrosi. In his role as Vatican postulator, Dr. Ambrosi is presenting Father Flanagan's case for sainthood to the Vatican. The completion of the diocesan or local investigation means the Vatican is moving to the next step in the sainthood process. 9 Vatican theologians who make up the Congregation for the Causes of the Saints will now review the records compiled by the Omaha Diocese.
It's funny because it took us almost 12 years to get to that phone call. And then to realize after that, like a relief, it's like, well, actually now we're at the beginning of the beginning.
Majesty and glory are his work.
15,000 documents enclosed in 4 boxes and wrapped in brown paper, then sealed in wax, represent the life and work of a man whom many consider one of the finest humanitarians of the 20th century.
Certo, non sanno quello che verrà dopo, ma su quello non è che io posso dire molto, insomma, capito?
The fact that a cause was initiated is already a sign that Father Flanagan has a great reputation of holiness already among the people of Omaha and of Nebraska.
He made a major change in the American system of care. He also wanted to shame every orphanage, especially the Christian orphanages, into behaving more civilly with the kids and treating them nicer. He set a new model, and America has followed it.
You know, what a great moment to honor a man that has helped so many lives and inspired so many other people to do good things in this world. So just very joyful right now, very ecstatic, and it's just a great day to celebrate the man and his mission.
We all know the world is full of boys who, through ignorance, neglect, and perhaps thoughtlessness, have violated the laws of God and man. It is also true that these problem boys have presented and still are presenting a grave situation in our social order, notwithstanding the fact that our country is singularly blessed with facilities for producing good citizens. If the future of our country is to be secure from dangerous enemies from within, parents and guardians of children must become more conscious of the responsibilities which God has placed upon them. We must become more virtuous in our own lives, that we may teach more effectively the lesson of proper citizenship by example as well as instruction. Kindness and love will open the heart of any problem boy. That heart will melt within the warmth of the sunshine of love. I have really never found a boy who wanted to be bad.